everyone, Robert here, author of Expansion Mastery, the practical guide to living a fully engaged life. This is video 7 in the first series of 10, and what we're doing is giving you a lot of in-depth information and guidelines to go along with what's in the book. So today, what we're going to do is address the 3 master keys to living with essence instead of your ego. And I get asked this question, and even more often than getting asked a question, I observe this in people, is why do I seem to start to make progress? Everything's going great, and then all of a sudden, something just sends me back into my own life patterns, the old ways of living. And I see this happen time and time again. Part of the problem is that as you make progress in the spiritual and personal growth path, you will reach a point where different parts of your identity will have to change. They will have to evolve. And this really threatens the ego. And most people that are still overly controlled by the ego will get sent back to the beginning and have to start all over again. It is kind of like a board game, right? Where you land on a certain square and you get sent back to the beginning and you have to start all over. The only thing is, I find most people are unable to make that effort. So what I want to do is help you with that. And there are 3 master keys to learning how to live with your essence instead of your ego. So the number 1 master key here is the idea of there can be only one. Yes, we took that from the incredible Highlander movie. That was made some years ago. And the idea here is there can be only one. You can have your ego or you can have your essence or your spirit, but they do not coexist. You cannot have a little of one and some of the other. It's kind of an all or nothing. There can be only one. Either you're living from a place where you're stuck in your head with your ego, or you're living from a place from an open heart with your spirit and essence. Okay, so the first master key is to understand that there can be only one, either ego or essence, and what is motivating you. Okay, what was that thing you just said to that person? Was that motivated from your ego or your essence? This is a way to check. Okay, that action you just took, was that born from your spirit or from your ego? Okay, so we want to kind of look at these things and realize that if we're doing things from our ego, that then there's no spirit or essence present at that time. Okay, number 2, second master key here is the 3 elitists. Okay, the 3 elitists is what I call the RCP, and this is for certain activities that cause or generate ego growth. Okay. Now, hang with me here. This isn't as bad as it sounds. But the first one is religion. Now, I'm not putting down any religion. However, any religion that teaches you that you are special or superior or elitist in any way does not connect to your spirit. It does not generate the essence of yourself to come forward. It will keep you based in your ego, which is counterproductive to what it's supposed to be. So I really encourage you to think about that. Okay? The second one here that we use for C is competition. Okay? And this is any type of competitive sport. There are a lot of sports that don't have competitive ideals or rules against one another, but anything that pits you to have to beat someone else builds your ego. There's no way around it. Okay, so I know they can be fun, good exercise, teamwork, all that stuff, but still at their core, they are building your ego. So you have to decide which is more important. Do you want to live from your essence or from your ego? The third one is P, and this is politics or political views. Okay, here in the United States of America, we are Americans. Hey, to think of yourself as a Democrat or Republican or liberalist or whatever, we start to divide ourselves, okay? And then we start to feel superior over someone else. Again, that sort of activity builds the ego and silences your essence. So we have to be very mindful of all of these tricky activities to make sure that we're living properly. The third master key is to overcome through three different things, and that is to use a process of overcoming the ego through exposing it, observing it, and then self-checking. Okay, so first we have practices that allow you to see that the voice of the ego is not your own. Okay, we expose it, and then we observe it, and we start to separate our own mind from that voice of the ego. It may sound a little strange, but there are practices in the book that help you, and I help with various programs and such too. And then once you do that, once you've been able to expose it and observe it, then we self-check. Okay? We watch ourselves, we monitor for times when the ego may be coming forth, and then we correct it. Okay? So the self-check is also a self-correct. So if you start to understand this philosophy, you start to be mindful and limit these sort of activities that create superiority or an elitist point of view, and then you apply this process of overcoming the ego through exposing, observing, and self-checking and correcting, it will help you just smash right through that hurdle that sends so many people back to the beginning. Hey, not you. You'll just go flying right on through it. You'll never even realize it was there if you can put these things into effect for yourself.